Hello and welcome to Arsenal Analysed. I'm JC. I hope you're doing well. Today I bring you yet another scout report on the channel, this time breaking down Victor Osimhen, another player heavily linked with Arsenal, bringing you all the statistics, analysis, heat maps and player comparisons so you don't have to go away and do that research. So if you do go on to enjoy today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And if you're new around here, why not consider subscribing, as it massively helps me and the channel out. But what will we be covering in today's video? Kicking off with the basics, all that player information, of course, before diving into what his movement has looked like this season with some player comparisons using heat maps. Then we'll look at some numbers with more player comparisons before diving into and finishing up with his strengths and weaknesses and what he might be bringing to Arsenal Football Club as he continues to be heavily linked with the club. So let's waste no more time at all and jump straight into things, shall we? So Victor Osimhen plays for Napoli, previously of Lille, aged 23, a full Nigerian international, and has been there for quite a few years. He is an out-and-out striker. For those of you who have watched some of my previous videos, other strikers and forwards that Arsenal have been linked with can play across a variety of positions, whether that be as a centre forward, maybe playing slightly deeper, or maybe on the left or the right wing. Osimhen is an out-and-out striker, and Arsenal have been linked with two forwards this summer. So it very much fits the mould of the other type of striker that Arteta is looking to target. He's right-footed, standing at 6'1". And the interesting part of this particular deal, if one does unfold that, is his contract doesn't run out until June 2025. Meaning that Napoli hold all the power in this particular department, and they have a reputation for not allowing players to go unless they get what they want. Koulibaly, probably the most recent example, linked with a move away from the club every single summer, never ends up going. And some of the numbers that are being thrown around with regards to Osimhen are 70 to 90 million pounds. Arsenal, not the only club said to be interested. Many of Europeans' top clubs will be on the lookout for a striker this summer. So certainly one to keep an eye on. Now, if we have a look at the movement and heat maps here, some comparisons. I've used Cristiano Ronaldo and Lukaku for a number of different reasons. Firstly, they both played in Serie A last season. This is the league that Osimhen currently plays in for Napoli, and it's how they've transitioned. Yes, Ronaldo and Lukaku have played in the Premier League before and been very successful during those spells, but it's how they then readapt in new systems, more modern type of Premier League football, for example. Now, if we have a look at Osimhen, as mentioned already, he is an out-and-out striker. You won't often find him on the left or the right. Maybe occasionally when hitting teams on the counter-attack, you may find him making those runs from the left or the right-hand side, those diagonals, but not necessarily with the ball at his feet, but more to get in behind those defensive lines. And if we have a look, a lot of that heat there we can see both this season and last season for Osimhen has been in and around that 18-yard box. Quite similar, I would say, to both Ronaldo and Lukaku this season. Not necessarily last season where they were in Serie A. Ronaldo looking to more sort of situate himself on that left-hand side and Lukaku on that right-hand side. Both very successful in Serie A. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for Lukaku this year. They're not necessarily the same type of player. Lukaku, definitely a more powerful, quick forward, scores many goals, not too many, but more than Osimhen does with his head. And Ronaldo, well, you don't need me to explain the type of play here he is. But it's nice to get that comparison just to see how that transition has worked from Serie A to the Premier League in a very similar mould of player. Lukaku and Ronaldo don't often push themselves out to the left or the right in the Premier League, very much in that 18-yard box with the goals and the touches they provide for their colleagues. Looking at the stats from this season, Osimhen, you can definitely see why he's being linked with some top European clubs. 24 games, 13 goals, 2 assists. Not necessarily someone that is often going to set other players up, bring his wingers in, or maybe those attacking midfield players. And it's very, very similar to the stats that we can see alongside your Ronaldos and your Lukaku's. 28 games and 23 games respectively. 17 goals for Ronaldo, 3 assists. So very, very similar numbers. And that's why the comparison is there. And the same with Lukaku. Unfortunately for him, it just hasn't worked out for him this season. at Chelsea. And even if we go all the way down to chances created for others, you know, they're all in that same ballpark. Osimhen 16, Ronaldo 25, Lukaku 18. And also passing accuracy in an Arsenal football team is going to need to be very, very important. 69% passing accuracy. Ronaldo in maybe a little bit a league of his own, credibility where it's due. But the other thing that we need to look at here as well is those aerial duels. Now, Arsenal are someone this season who have pumped a lot of balls into the box from wide, whether that be coming from our fullbacks, whether that be coming from the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe. He sits at 6'1" and his aerial duels at 44% completion rate, more than Ronaldo, not far off of Lukaku. Lukaku does score a lot of goals with his head. Ronaldo even more so. They're good numbers. The only area of concern for me when we look at these numbers is his discipline record for a striker. 5 yellow cards and 1 red. So Arsenal could probably do with out that. Our discipline record hasn't necessarily been the greatest over the last few years. I think it's one of the worst in the Premier League since Arteta took over. Granted, it's better more of late, but certainly something that we would need to keep an eye on. But some very, very good numbers there from Osimhen. Is it something that would transition into the Premier League like a Ronaldo has done, like we've seen in the past with Lukaku? Big question marks. Let me know your comments down below. And then to finish up, we're going to be looking at his strengths, his weaknesses, how he compares to other strikers in Serie A. A lot of people who watched him, I've done research now on him for probably around about 2 weeks. He's a very, very good finisher. Most of his goals come from touches inside the box. As already mentioned, he loves to get in behind teams. Those balls over the top from games that I've watched of Napoli in that research I've done over the last few weeks. Very, very, very quick player. Loves to be a threat on the counter-attack. But his off-the-ball movement is also very good, bringing his colleagues into play. Not necessarily with those passes, but he's occupying spaces where he's bringing central defenders out or those defensive midfield players out of position and allowing his colleagues with those deep runs from midfield or out wide to get in behind. And his dribbling is also very, very good when running at defenders. When looking at his weaknesses, sometimes he does struggle to hold on to the ball. We're not looking at the type of dribbler that Ronaldo once was or Saka is now at Arsenal, but he's still very, very good with the ball at his feet. Passing, not the best part of his game, and this is reflected in the chart that you can see to the left-hand side, which we'll touch on in just a moment. Discipline is another one that we would need to keep an eye on, and whilst under pressure, sometimes he can let it get the better of him. In those pressured situations, in those tight spaces, he's not always necessarily the best. And I'm not saying that he's going to get less time in the Premier League, but with it being a more physical, a quicker league, those decision-making skills, whilst under pressure, will definitely need to be worked on, in my opinion. Now, one thing that I will say with regards to Osimhen, when we look at what he does offer as a striker, in this chart, if we bring ourselves to the top part of it there, attack value added, open shot play, non-penalty XG, all of which in that top 90 percentile. And if we have a look at the rest of his game, successful pressures, which we've already touched on, not very good under pressure at all. Dribbles completed is somewhere in the sort of mid-range. Deep touches, very, very good. We're looking at that final third. But then if we have a look at his assists in that bottom corner on the right-hand side, passing efficiency, progressive passes, and open play, expected assists, all in that lower percentile. So he's not going to be that Lacazette, but as mentioned already, we are looking at bringing in 2 strikers, a more modern number 9, and then maybe your out-and-out goal scorer, which could be Victor Osimhen. We'll have to wait and see. But that is going to about wrap things up for today's video. I hope you have learned something new. I hope you know a little bit more about Victor Osimhen now than you did before this video started. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Is he someone that you would like Arsenal to sign, or should we be targeting another similar profile of player? Let me know down below. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, a like would be super, super appreciated. And if you're new around here, please do subscribe. We're absolutely smashing it at the moment. We've grown by over 100 subs in the last few weeks, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm ever so grateful. We're close to only 40 away from that 1,300 target. So smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, And I'll be bringing you more scout reports over the next few weeks. But for now, I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take